Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the #1 professional wrestling radio show in Las Vegas. This is the Mark Hoke Show. The Mark Hoke Show. Going bell to bell with the best in professional wrestling news, entertainment, and lots of Sin City surprises from inside the squared circle. Now, let's get to all the exciting pro wrestling action and bring on the host. Here is Mark Hoke.
All right, everybody, let's get back to it. Hour number 2 of the Mark Hoke Show. Very excited to have you with us. It's the best in pro wrestling news and entertainment, top-rated show. Live show on our exciting station here of KDAWN here in Las Vegas, because you know why? We're that damn good. That's just how it works. We're very thrilled to have you join us on Sunday morning. I know probably a lot of people didn't sleep well last night, but you know, we're going to try and bring a little happiness and levity to you by talking a little pro wrestling. Now, we've already got Coach Rosey from Ad Free Shows. Josh Rosenbaum is on the board. Let's bring in my wrestling brother. I love this guy to death. He is amazing, does tremendous work over at WrestleZone.com. I wish I could do a show with this guy every day. He is just so much fun to have around. Let's get him in the fold here on the Mark Hoke Show. Matt Black. We got
What's up, man?
How are you, bud?
It's been a long week. I guess it's the beginning of a new week, so here we go again.
Let's do it. Let's do it, man. Very happy to see you. So, welcome. Yeah, okay. I guess I should have said something after that. That's all right.
Oh, well.
Oh, I you know, it's funny. I was telling Matt to text. I'll just say it. You know, I had a little bit of an upset belly last night. I had a Burger King melt before I went to bed last night. And that move will not be made again before a show. That
probably not a good idea.
I'm going to say very bad decision on my part. And, yeah, by the way, welcome to Mark Cho in the chat box. He follows you around, Matt, and we certainly appreciate that.
He's a good friend of mine. I appreciate his support.
Yeah, so very exciting to have anybody in the chat box. Now we got a lot of people listening, so come on in. Let's hear your comments about this. Now, I decided to have a little fun. I wanted to start off believing in somebody. As I went off about a month ago about this guy, our good friend Joe Hendry. Joe Hendry, who, you know, lost in that battle royal right away, and, you know, it's just kind of getting beat up on TNA. And now he's in the main event at Slammiversary and main eventing NXT, and everything is looking up for our boy Joe Hendry. Now I'm curious to see what they're actually going to do with the guy. So, Matt, I'll start off with you. What is the ceiling for Joe Hendry at this point?
Well, I mean, the ceiling is all depending on what company he's in. I mean, depending on how long his contract is with TNA, obviously the ceiling is, TNA World Champion, which I think they should just go ahead and pull the trigger at Slammiversary, because you'd already know my opinions on the system. It's not working. The system is broken. It's not enjoyable programming for TNA, and they need to pivot their programming as soon as humanly possible. And if they can start that at Slammiversary by getting the world title off Moose and maybe the tag titles off Myers and Edwards, I think that's just the best direction that company could go right now.
Coach, what do you think about Joe Hendry? How far should they take this? Or, you know, or are we talking of maybe it's a little bit of extra self-promotion and a little bit of a flash in the pan? I disagree with that, but is that a possibility? Are we all getting too excited about Joe Hendry?
I'm a fan. You know, I'm a fan first. I mean, I love Joe Hendry. The song, it's cool. You know, it's catchy. I don't know how long it'll last, but like Matt was saying, jump on that rocket ship and go, and then make the Hardys the tag champs. Why not? I think that would be a good spin at Slammiversary.
So you guys are both ready to just blow this thing up at Slammiversary, huh?
Yeah, for sure. Put championships on your stars. If you want people to tune into your weekly show, if you want people to buy TNA Plus for the millions of people who don't get access TV and can't watch your show on cable, yes, put championships on people that the fans care about. And I'm not trying to be mean to the system. They're all very good wrestlers. But the gimmick's not working. They're not over. I would argue that some people would say that they have some go-away heat on them. Just do something to make people care. Because the biggest, all the eyeballs are on TNA right now because of their connection with NXT. So you need to make that count. And I feel like on their last little pay-per-view that they had on TNA Plus, I can't even remember what it was called. I think it was No Surrender. Like, they dropped the ball. It was not a good show. Beyond Jeff Hardy returning at the end of it, I was like, man, I wish I didn't even watch this. So they need to hit a grand slam at Slammiversary, and they need to steer the ship properly headed into Bound for Glory. These next few months are going to be extremely important for TNA, and I hope they don't fumble the opportunity that's been handed to them. That's been handed to them right now.
Yeah, so
Matt Hardy and them, they're not working on a contract.
Yes, exactly. And they're still if you look at their advertising for November's event that's going to be hosted at WrestleCade, they're advertising the Hardys. But tomorrow, Triple H could call and be like, hey guys, you want to come back and have another run? And they're gone. They're working on a per date basis. You better keep Matt and Jeff as happy as humanly possible, or they could just up and leave like Stephanie Valcourt up and left CMLL last week. So, and she was under contract.
Yeah.
So that's even worse. So the TNA needs to do right by their stars right now in order to keep their stars. Do right by Joe Hendry, so Joe Hendry second guesses immediately signing a WWE contract when his current one expires. Continue to do right by Jordynne Grace, because when her deal's up in January, I don't see a scenario that she's not straight over to WWE. You can't afford to lose these talents right now. Josh Alexander's as good as gone. They did that shady tactic of extending his deal when he asked them not to. If I'm Josh Alexander, my mind's already made up. I'm out the door when my deal's up. Like, you're about to lose a lot of great talent over the next year. Don't make it worse than it already is.
Well, let me ask you this, Matt, and I asked Coach Rosey in the first hour, while this deal with WWE and sending talent over there, gets some promotion for TNA, could this be something that they regret, because you're kind of opening the door to getting your talent rated, kind of like AEW has done to New Japan?
You got to take the good with the bad, and that's exactly what New Japan did, because New Japan has not been nearly as strong as a promotion that they've been since we entered the pandemic back in 2020. It kind of really crippled New Japan, and that partnership with AEW really helped New Japan rise back up into a good position within the wrestling industry. So yeah, they lost Ospreay, they lost Okada. But it's not like when Wrestle Dynasty rolls around the day after Wrestle Kingdom next year that we're not going to see Will Ospreay and Okada on that show. Like, I feel like AEW is going out of their way to try to help their partners instead of hurt them. Where I feel WWE is kind of using TNA as a way to say, hey, we're working with other wrestling companies so we can never get sued for $20 million by MLW again. We're good. We're the good guys. We're not doing anything wrong. But secretly, when they're bringing in a Joe Hendry, when they're bringing in Jordynne Grace, they are giving them the royal treatment in NXT and making them feel like they're megastars, to the point where they're probably thinking, man, I can't wait to sign with these guys when my deal's up because this place is so awesome. So it's a mixed bag. I feel like TNA really needs the promotion that WWE is giving them right now, but they need to make the most out of the promotion that they're being given, and they need to make the right creative decisions to help bring their company back up to where it was when Scott D'Amore was running things last year.
Coach, you look like you had something you wanted to say there.
No, it's just I'm getting reaffirmed by Matt. He's you are a very smart, intelligent person when it comes to wrestling, but my takes match with you. So I feel like we're on the same page. So that's why I was saying, I think it's good, and I was just excited that we're on the same level.
Yeah, there you go. See, I bring the smart people on the Mark Hoke Show. That's what I do. That some of their comments in the chat box, by the way, we got let's see. Well, Gamer Bear, said, "Hope you're doing good, Mark." But also Hoke, I guess. Okay, that's cute. The system isn't even broken; it's crippled. Mark Show also saying CML contract equals toilet paper, and Gamer Bear saying that's actually what it's printed on. Yikes!
Oh no!
Wow. So Matt, your friends. Yikes! They're laying it in there.
Hey, I didn't say it. They did.
They did.
I didn't say it. They did.
Oh my God. Yeah. But this will be a very interesting card of Slammiversary coming up. So, and in case everybody out there doesn't know what the card is, it's, the militia that's, Alicia Edwards and Masha Slamovich, the TNA Knockouts tag team champions are taking on Spitfire. AJ Francis, who by the way, I think is doing some pretty good work, is the
Excellent
TNA
work.
digital media champion. He's defending against PCO. Mustafa Ali is defending against Mike Bailey, Speedball. Jordan Grace is defending against Ash by Elegance. And then you've got that 6-way elimination match for the TNA World Championship, which is Moose defending against Josh Alexander, Steve Macklin, Nick Nemeth, Frankie Kazarian, and Joe Hendry. So that, I think it's going to be a fun match. But
on paper, it looks like it's a very good show.
Yeah.
And I'd be willing to bet dollars to donuts that the Hardys against Edwards and Myers will end up being added to that as well. Because I'm sure the finish on Thursday is going to be something fishy or shady or whatever, which is going to lead to a rematch at the pay-per-view. So, the card's going to be stacked. But they need to deliver on what it looks like on paper. Make the right creative decisions for your fans to build your company moving forward.
yeah, so we'll see what they do with Joe Hendry. I'm intrigued, as I've been screaming to the heavens to push Joe Hendry. So we'll see if he walks out of there with the title or not. But I don't know. Yeah, we're all kind of like, oh, he should, but will they?
There's a couple people in there they could give the title to, and Moose shouldn't be one of them.
Who else could you go with there, Matt? Now that you said that.
Well, you can't go wrong with Josh Alexander.
Right.
He's been a backbone for that company, and heaven forbid if you try to make him happy 6 months before his deal permanently expires. That certainly couldn't hurt. Who else is
What about
there
Nemeth?
again?
What about Nick Nemeth?
If he's committed long term, Nemeth is also a great idea. I thought they should have given him the title months ago. I thought they should have put the tag titles on him a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
So at this point, now's the time. If you're not going to strap up Hendry, strap up Nemeth.
Yeah, I was really surprised when it was here in Las Vegas and they didn't do it. So I guess we'll find out. So should be entertaining. Now, Matt, we also talked a little bit about what happened on Dynamite this week with the two Owen Hart winners, and it got everybody talking. Your thoughts on what happened with both of those finals, because it has created some very interesting possibilities coming up. These are going to be some fun matches at AEW All In with Swerve and Bryan Danielson and Mariah May taking on Toni Storm. These should be some pretty solid main event matches for Tony at Wembley.
Yeah, I think All In's going to be ridiculously stacked. I think AEW's hitting their stride at the right time this summer, and I think they're going to carry that momentum all the way into that pay-per-view, which essentially at this point is their WrestleMania, and I think it's going to feel like one big time this year. I predicted both Owen Hart tournament winners, so I was not surprised by either outcome. I was surprised that they immediately pulled the trigger on the Mariah May heel turn. I thought they were going to let that simmer for a couple more weeks and do it before All In, but to do it immediately after the match in the visual of the blood coming down Tony's head as she was being hammered by the shoe, that was money, man. As they said in the industry back in the day, red equals green. And that was a money angle at the end of Dynamite on Wednesday night.
Yeah, this is going to be, I think All In's going to be awesome. And, with so many people getting back from the injured list, boy, the one person I just wish was back right now is Adam Copeland. It is so sad that he's going to miss this card,
Yeah.
but otherwise this is going to be loaded. And I can't wait to see what they do with MJF. I am really curious to see who the actual opponent is going to be for MJF when they get to All In.
I think it's going to be Ospreay.
You think so?
I think Tony's doing the exact same thing that he did last year with last year's All In. If you recall, there was an AEW World Championship match which opened AEW Dynamite last summer between Adam Cole and MJF. I was there. I was in the front row. I was in DC. They went to the time limit draw, and they eventually rematched, a couple months later at All In. They've also said that this international championship match between Ospreay and MJF is opening Dynamite on Wednesday night. So I'm predicting a time limit draw, and I'm predicting that they will rematch for that championship at All In. And I think Daniel Garcia will return it All In and cost MJF the match.
Interesting thought. That is a definite possibility. Well, I'll tell you what, we got to get a break in, guys. But I wanted, we talked about AEW getting their momentum back. And I wanted to talk a little bit more about something deeper with AEW and their impact on the industry, because so many people are, like to bang on AEW. It's a very interesting conversation. There's a lot of haters out there, but I put up a tweet this week about, what AEW has done for professional wrestling. And I wanted to get a little bit into that. So we're going to hit that topic when we return here on the Mark Hoke Show. So stick around, everybody. We've got Coach Rosey from Ad Free Shows, Josh Rosenbaum, and Matt Black from WrestleZone.com. He is the king and overlord, super editor over there. So stick around, everybody. We'll be right back on the Mark Hoke Show. Whole lot more. We'll be right back.
101.5 FM KDAWN. This is the Mark Hoke Show. The Mark Hoke Show. Here again, your host, Mark Hoke.
And we're back in hour number 2 of the Mark Hoke Show here on KDAWN, 101.5 FM, the talk of Las Vegas, and also on that Odyssey app, AUDACY. Download it now, or, little children will come screaming at you all through the streets. It will be tragic. You don't want that to happen. And, of course, we are streaming on YouTube, Facebook, and X. So wherever you are. But subscribe. Golly gee whiz. That would make my Sunday. I would appreciate it. And, of course, we've got Coach Rosey, Josh Rosenbaum from Ad Free Shows, and Matt Black from, of course, WrestleZone.com. Just having a blast talking pro wrestling here on KDAWN. And this was something that I was thinking about a couple of days ago, and I was curious to hear your thoughts, because we have still some interesting tribalism in pro wrestling, guys. And it kind of bothers me a little bit, because I can't understand why some people hate AEW so much, because they have had such an incredible impact on the industry. And it made everybody step their game up so much in every aspect of it. The performers have had to do better. The promotions have had to do better. Even, from WWE down to the industries. Because I remember when I first started doing this show, WWE was on complete coast mode. And they have really had to have changed over the past few years of what they were doing, because now they had a legit competitor, something else that people could watch. And, Triple H could say what he wanted, but, there were people that were starting to turn the dials a little bit. And, and people, even in the media, people had to do a better job. And AEW really, I think, took the industry and made it better. And you can say what you want about the promotion itself, whether it's, you like it or you don't, but I think it made massive improvements to what has gone on in pro wrestling. And I'm curious to hear your thoughts about that. Let me go to you first, Coach Rosey, on that.
Well, I think it was a perfect storm. Unfortunately, with COVID, we had a lot more time to watch wrestling. And I think the new shiny toy was AEW. And I think that brought back a lot of fans that might have been on the periphery or might have been frustrated with WWE. I mean, the Thunderdome, that didn't really resonate with a lot of people watching on television. But, the AEW product was something shiny and new, and I think it really propelled people back. Now with everything being open again, it's kind of going back to the way it used to be, but there's still that strong AEW presence that is going to continue to not only push WWE, but push TNA and push all the strong independents to produce and make a good product.
Matt, what do you think? Because, you've been in this industry for a long time. So what did you see a shift?
Oh, and there was an absolute shift when AEW came in. They made WWE step up their game. Because you're right, WWE was on cruise control for a decade and a half. Once WCW and ECW went down, they didn't care what they were doing. As long as they were making their weekly product, it didn't need to be the greatest thing of all time because they were the only game in town. As far as they were concerned, they weren't concerned about TNA or New Japan or Ring of Honor or anything like that. But now there's a legitimate number 2 competitor in the world of professional wrestling, and WWE responded. That's why the WWE product is as good as it is right now and as hot as it is because of AEW. And you also need to keep in mind, without AEW, AEW has a roster, I would say probably somewhere between 100 and 150 people, on their in-ring roster. I'm not even talking about backstage employees and production and ring crew and all those people they employ, making a good living because this company exists. There's no way WWE could hire all of those people that AEW have employed and utilize all of them and not just release 20 people every other month. AEW is good for the industry. And I don't understand anybody who can't see that. It is an alternative to WWE. I don't understand the criticisms and the complaints from the old talking heads that want AEW to be more like WWE. Their complaints are, they're not doing it the way WWE does it, or WWE does it this way, so why doesn't AEW do it that way? They're an alternative product. And that's what's important about AEW. They're giving people the option. If you don't like what WWE has for you, here's AEW. But they're not forcing, as a wrestling fan, you're not forced to watch anything. 20 years ago, if you wanted to watch wrestling, you had to watch WWE. Now there's wrestling on TV almost every freaking day of the week. You have a choice of what to watch. Don't hate watch what you don't enjoy. Watch what you love. Well, and if you don't like AEW or you don't like WWE or you don't like TNA or MLW or NWA or any of the other wrestling companies out there, just don't watch them. Don't talk about them. Don't hate watch. Don't shame people who enjoy the other companies. Just watch what you enjoy and promote what you enjoy. The ongoing tribalism online absolutely blows my mind. I love WWE. I love AEW. I'm a pro wrestling fan. Why can't we all be pro wrestling fans together? Because when I was growing up, I was picked on relentlessly in school for being a wrestling fan. And then junior high and high school happened throughout the Attitude Era. And all of a sudden, I was able to coast through those years because wrestling was cool again during the Monday Night Wars. But I can only imagine having a group of wrestling fans to go to when I was a kid to share my love for WWF and WCW and everything that was ongoing at that time. Now we have that. You can go on social media and interact with wrestling fans all over the world. But instead of just being united and enjoying professional wrestling, people are at each other's throats because it has to be AEW versus WWE. It doesn't have to be anything. Just watch the pro wrestling you enjoy And that's all there is to it.
There you go. Matt Black. A round of applause. Round of applause for Matt.
Dropping knowledge.
Oh,
appreciate it.
very beautiful.
That's our Sunday sermon for today. We'll pass the plate.
Oh my God!
The WrestleZone and tie them.
There you go. That was beautiful. Yeah.
I'm very passionate about the tribalism in wrestling. I can't stand it, and anytime I can try to talk about it, make people see things in a different way, I am more than happy to do so.
Yeah, and and one thing that I think people forget sometimes too is the opportunities that when AEW came in that it has created for everybody, because there's now hope for more performers too. You have so many more indie promotions that are succeeding, and here in Las Vegas we've got a bunch of them, and they now have so much more of a chance to get out there and do something, as opposed to, boy, I hope WWE takes a look at me and I'm that 1 in 5,000. You've got so many chances now to get seen, and these people that are out there busting their butts, it was either you get on WWE or maybe hit TNA and that was it. Otherwise, you're out there grinding for $100 maybe if you were lucky.
I was going to say if you're lucky, yeah.
So this has been great for everybody, and and like you said, I just wish everybody would just enjoy I'm not a big GCW guy. I that's not my thing, but there's a lot of people that love GCW.
They house a lot of great talent there too.
Yeah, so enjoy what you like, but man, just stop ripping it all the time. My God, I mean, there's great performers.
If you don't like it, don't talk about it.
Yeah,
like you don't see me on my timeline talking about things that I hate. I don't discuss things that I hate. I discuss things that I love. And even when I'm critiquing it out of love. Like, I'm not doing it to be a jerk, or, trying to be a contrarian, and any, a-hole or anything like that. I'm really just trying. I want to help make the product better.
Right.
So I feel sometimes if I know Tony Khan reads everything. I get liked. He's liked plenty of my tweets throughout the years. So I know he reads what I say. So I feel like if I could say something and help benefit a product and make it better, I'm going to say it. And I'm not doing it to, to cause a tribalistic war or anger or anything. Like I critique when it's needed and I praise when it's deserved. And I do that for everything that I love. Yeah. If I go and see Deadpool and Wolverine at the end of this month and it doesn't live up to my expectations, I will go on social media afterwards and say, man, they dropped the ball with the movie that I was looking forward to most all year.
Matt, fly out.
But I want to walk out of the movie theater going, that was the greatest MCU experience I've had since Endgame.
Fly out, we'll watch it. And Coach, to that end too, I know that, you work with Eric Bischoff a lot, and Eric catches flack, and he's very critical of AEW, but I don't get the impression that Eric does it because he hates AEW. Eric, I feel like, has a very unique perspective because he was there. There's very few people that can speak to running a wrestling promotion and having it on national television other than him. I mean, it's a very unique spot that he was in. So when he's banging on AEW, I don't think that it's out of a place of hate or anything like that. I think he wants to see it succeed too. And, I love a pro wrestling. So, I'm curious to hear your thoughts about that, because I know you're around Eric a lot.
And I would agree with that. I consider Eric similar to Matt. He's got what he likes and he's passionate about it. And not that he's trying to hurt one company or another, but he's going to share his opinion from his heart. And I'm an AEW guy, so we do sometimes have some dialogue. And figure out which way he thinks it's going to go. And he accepts people that disagree. That's the beauty of wrestling. Creativity is subjective, so if you don't like what he's saying, listen to it. Maybe not, but that doesn't mean it should change your opinion. Everyone's allowed to love what they love. And some people like the style of AEW. Some people don't. A lot of time, Eric comes from a production angle or a lighting angle or a sound angle. He just takes a look at wrestling different than other people. Doesn't make it wrong. Doesn't make it right. It just makes it his opinion.
Yeah, I enjoy listening to him because of there's very few people in the world that can offer that place that he was in. So it's, I always like to learn from people that have had that experience, whether it's in broadcasting or doing other things. When I coached volleyball for 20 years, when I had a chance to listen to an Olympic coach or a college coach or somebody like that, or another high school coach that succeeded, whether I agreed or disagreed with what they said, getting those perspectives is important, So, I hear people trash Eric all the time, and, I don't agree with everything Eric says, but, I've never been there. So I'm going to take what he says with, some serious consideration and not just throw it in the garbage can. By the way, chat box lit up. You guys got them going. Let's see. Mark Cho said no screaming children, please at me. So I got that. Let's see. Also said tribalists have no life. Got that. Gamer Bear said a rising tide lifts all boats. Bionic Scoop, my good friend Scoop. Got to give him that. Like what you want and watch what you want. And he also said not just performers, but production folks too. Absolutely. A lot of jobs there. Mark Cho said Reverend Matt Black testify. There you go. So, and Gamer Bear said, oh, my brother. There you go. So you got everybody fired up, Matt. Nice job.
Look, I'm happy to get some people fired up, especially people who love professional wrestling. Like I said, I love what Bionic Scoop said. Like what you want and watch what you want. But you don't need to hate watch, and you don't need to hate comment. If you don't like AEW, don't watch AEW. Don't comment about AEW. You don't like WWE, don't watch WWE. Don't comment about WWE. Just focus on what you enjoy and let the other stuff just live in its own existence. It's not hurting you. If anything, it's benefiting your product. The people who only like WWE, AEW is benefiting their product. The people who only like AEW, WWE is benefiting their product. It works both ways. But if you don't like one or the other, just watch the other one and let the other one alone. It's not that hard.
Yeah, it does. It does, because when you see, when WWE is succeeding, obviously, and Tony sees maybe his ratings dip a little bit. Will Ospreay brought it up. He said, well, I saw that ratings dip. I was like, what are we, I took that as a challenge. And that's actually what a person who is driven and wants to succeed does. And when Ospreay made those comments, I said, that's a guy I want to work with. That's a guy that I want by my side, who doesn't put his head down and say, oh, we had a bad week and oh, things are terrible. That's a guy that wants to say, hey, let's go. Let's fix the problem. And that, and I got to interview Will, and I'll tell you what, that guy, I'd love to go to battle with that guy. I would. He is just a guy that is just fired up and wants to win, and he wants to take AEW to a great place. It's a lot of fun. I love being around people like that.
Look, I'm going to go out on a limb right now. If they continue to utilize Will Ospreay properly on screen, in the media, and in all aspects of AEW, he can be their John Cena in the next 5 years. You just have to utilize him properly. They have all the potential in the world there for him to be their showcase star. When you think of AEW and 10, 15 years from now, people will be they think of Will Ospreay. Just like people, today, earlier this week, I saw a tweet from Fight Triller. Who do you think of when you think of TNA? And I responded with Always and Forever with a gif of AJ Styles. No matter how long that company is in existence, when I think of TNA and I think of that logo, the first person I think of is AJ Styles.
Yeah.
If AEW does things properly by Will Ospreay, 10 or 15 years down the line, if somebody online asks that question, I think the answer could be Will Ospreay.
Yeah, and MJF right there too, and there's just so much talent there, and if they do it right, and Dr. Britt Baker's one too that I think that she could be somebody that if they keep her, if she stays healthy and keep her in the right place, that's somebody that will be synonymous with that brand forever as long as they keep her there. So, and Gamer Bear said that was the right choice. And by the way, Bionic Scoop said, I asked one person to point to the doll where Tony Khan hurt your pride. I love Scoop. Scoop is so awesome. All right. Hey, we got to get another break in, guys. So we're going to keep the discussion going, having a great time. I love just, getting into the fun of being a pro wrestling fan. And that's what we do here on the Mark Hoke Show. So stick around. We've got a whole lot more coming up as we get into our final segment with Matt Black from WrestleZone and Coach Rosey, Josh Rosenbaum from adfreeshows.com. So stick around. We got a whole lot more to wrap this thing up on the Mark Hoke Show here on KDAWN. We'll be right back.
.1015 FM KDAWN. You're listening to the #1 professional wrestling radio show in Vegas, The Mark Hoke Show. The Mark Hoke Show. Now, here again is Mark Hoke.
Trying not to break the buttons on the board. That's a bad thing. Station doesn't like that very much. But welcome back to the Mark Hoke Show here on KDAWN. The stuff you guys don't get to see. Actually, you can't see that one. That's good. Glad the bosses can't see it either. Anyway, best in pro wrestling news and entertainment. Having an awesome time here as we get ready to wrap the show up. Matt Black from WrestleZone, Coach Rosey, Josh Rosenbaum from adfreeshows.com. Very happy to have you gentlemen along for the ride. Just having an awesome time talking pro wrestling here on KDAWN. Now, by the way, I neglected to mention congratulations to DIY for winning the SmackDown Tag Team titles. Way to go. Of course, they got a nice Jacob Fautus sandwich this week. That didn't look like a lot of fun, but way to go, DIY. I forgot to mention it last week and almost forgot it this week, too. So, way to go. So, nice win for DIY. Joe Tessitore is joining the announce team. Of course, a great college football announcer. You guys excited about that? Coach?
I like him. I don't know what he's going to bring to wrestling, but he's good on Holy Moly, too, the mini golf show.
Yeah.
He's funny. I don't know what he can bring, but I enjoy a change. It might be signaling Michael Cole being ready to move aside, if they're bringing in this guy.
Yeah, I mean, he's apparently a lifelong wrestling fan. Matt, are you excited about Joe Tessitore coming in?
That's exactly what I was going to say. I'm keeping an open mind and I'm trying to be optimistic because he's a lifelong wrestling fan. But we've seen WWE bring in so many commentators over the years that are great elsewhere and completely flounder in WWE. This one being a fan, I hope will end up being successful. I don't know if I'm in the minority or not, and I still don't understand the decision, but even with his lack of knowledge coming in, I really thought Jimmy Smith did a great job on Raw. And I thought he went out of his way to study the industry and to know what he was talking about. So I was very surprised when they let him go. So if this is their next decision in terms of a replacement for when they had Jimmy Smith in there, at least he's a lifetime fan. He's got plenty of commentary experience. So fingers crossed he comes in and gels with Barrett and Graves and everything works out.
Yeah, I'm excited. I mean, just I love his announcing style. So as long as he comes in and knows what he's saying, I think we'll be okay. He'll certainly bring a little extra pep to the SmackDown broadcast. I'm kind of thrilled about that. I didn't get either of your thoughts on everything that happened in Money in the Bank. We've only got a few minutes, so we've got to keep it short. But Matt, I'll start with you. Just your overall thoughts on Money in the Bank, and does this leave you excited for SummerSlam with everything that happened over there?
I'm going to say something that I haven't said in many years. I liked the NXT show that weekend better.
Wow.
That used to be the norm when Triple H was running and the takeovers. I'm like, man, every weekend, takeover outperforming the WWE main pay-per-view. I really did. Like, I loved that Tiffany Stratton won the Money in the Bank, and that was probably my favorite thing from the show. But I thought NXT outshined Money in the Bank.
Wow, interesting. Coach, what did you think?
I had the pleasure of being at a watch party in Times Square, so that added a different dynamic to Money in the Bank. They really bring it. But I just thought it was a spot fest, the Money in the Bank. There were some great spots. The whole ref thing, I feel bad that Damien got hit, but it kind of threw things off for me for the rest of it. Had me thinking, what's going on? Is he hurt? Was this a botch? Who messed up? But, it was good. It was entertaining. But you're right, Matt. NXT, that finish with Ethan Page where he just fell, that was classic. Just classic Ethan, how he just stumbled into it.
Yeah, that was...
Every match on NXT delivered. And I can't remember the last time I could say that. It really felt like an old school takeover. There were 2 matches on that show I didn't care at all about. Like the tag title match and the women's North American title match. I went in, I'm like, I don't care about either of these. And by the end of the match, I'm like, wow, that was really freaking good. And I was blown away impressed by what NXT brought to the table on Sunday.
Yeah, definitely was. Heatwave was something else. So, yeah, and Ethan Page falling into a title. Haven't seen that play for a while, but good for Ethan Page. I think this is going to be a lot of fun to see what he does with the NXT Championship. So, yeah, wild week. But and Matt, I'm going to ask you one more time real fast. Are you still not excited about Gunther and Damian Priest? No?
Not at all.
Not at all?
I think Gunther's going to flatten him. They're going to try to make him look good, but I think the match is going to be 75-25 Gunther, and I think he's going to flatten him. I mean, that's exactly why Priest said, "Oh, Rollins, I'll give you another title shot after SummerSlam. It's a gentleman's agreement." I said out loud in my living room, "Yeah, that's because you're not going to have the title." He's as good as done. Ring General's new World Heavyweight Champion. It's already written in the stars. It's done.
Fair enough. Yeah. So how about you, Coach? You with Matt on that?
Yeah, I definitely agree. Gunther, he's a chop guy for me. I revel at his chops, but he doesn't do much more for me. He's a souped up Sheamus.
Wow, I'm a little bigger on Gunther than that, but all right.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like,
okay,
he's Sheamus 10.0. Like,
okay, all right.
Sheamus got down like Gunther, man. Back in that was Sheamus's thing back in the day, that boom, the kick, all that. Gunther is just way more advanced.
Okay, he's a god. It is true. All right. So I've got about a minute and a half left, so I want to make sure I give both of you a chance to plug what you've got going on. Coach, tell us a little bit about ad-free shows.
Ad-free shows? We'll be down in Waterloo for the Hall of Fame this weekend coming up. We're bringing a contingent of guys. We're going to be supporting Tony Schiavone and other guys like Arn, and we're just going to be there. And if you want to give us a checkout, we have 83 Weeks, we have My World, we have JR show, we have Bruce Pritchard's show. It's a good array of nostalgia, and there's some big pods that are going to be announced pretty soon. So if you love nostalgic wrestling, if you love the old days, give us a check out over at adfreeshows.com.
And Matt, you got WrestleZone, of course.
We're trying to be your one-stop shop for all things wrestling news, rumors, interviews, editorials, opinion pieces. Like if you want to know what's going on in the world of professional wrestling, just check out WrestleZone. We've got you covered.
There you go. So make sure you go to WrestleZone.com and check that out too, guys. I want to thank you so much. What a fun show, and it's nice to get to talk get below the surface a little bit and just, what's going on in pro wrestling and dig in a little bit. And we had great discussion today. So thank you both for being on. I really do appreciate it.
It was cool. And Matt, I love the Alf box. I live in Phoenix. R.I.P. the little kid that played Alf's sidekick.
Brian.
Brian died in Phoenix this week. But
that was
Alf was iconic.
Way too many people died this past week.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a tough one. But hey, you know what? We can go back, watch some wrestling, forget about it, and have a great time.
That's it.
Yes.
But thank you, gentlemen. I do appreciate it. Josh Rosenbaum, Coach Rosey, and, of course, Matt Black. You got Matt at Raw F Showtime on Twitter as well. And it's Real Coach Rosey for Josh if you want to follow him. Guys, thank you so much for joining us on the Mark Hoke Show. We'll be back with another edition next week. Of course, you can follow us on X at Mark Hoke Show, Facebook, The Mark Hoke Show, YouTube, The Mark Hoke Show, MarkHokeShow.com. As you can tell, I'm out of breath just saying Mark Hoke Show. That's where it all is. We will see you next week. Thank you so much for being a part of it. I really do appreciate it, along with the rest of the team here at Odyssey and KDAWN. Have a great week, and we'll dig into that ring and have a great time. Watch that wrestling. Don't be tribal. We'll see you next time.